So I'll start with introduction and what is Snowflake, and after that we'll discuss about the key features of the Snowflake, prerequisites to learn the Snowflake, and who all can learn the Snowflake. And I'll talk about today we'll more talk about the course structure plan. So what are the topics I'm going to cover, and as well as the after course completion in terms of the Snowflake certification, what are the certifications that are available. We'll discuss all of those. So coming to my introduction, so overall, more than 9 years of IT experience, and close to 8 years into dealing with the big data ecosystem like HDFS, MapReduce, Hive, Scoop, Spark, SparkCore, PySpark, and few scheduling tools as well. And I worked on the both the Cloudera Hadoop distribution as well as the Hortonworks data platform as well. And so worked on the Unix shell scripting for the automations purpose, and worked on the AWS cloud and as well as the Snowflake, and worked on the many Hive, Scoop, shell scripts for the automation. Later those I have to implement it on the scheduling tools like Azkaban, AutoSys, and Airflow as well. And I'm certified Snowflake developer, means internally we can call it as a Snowpro core, and I'm certified both Fivetran as well as the DBT as well. And so coming to the next one, so when it comes to the Snowflake, right? So my responsibility before talking about the Snowflake, right? So my experience into creating the snow pipes for handling the streaming data, where I'm handle the semi-structured like JSON data, XML data using the variant attributes in the Snowflake. So I worked on the micro partitions inside the Snowflake, and also hands-on experience on the streams, pipes, as well as the tasks as well, and also zero cloning process and failover time travel functionality within the Snowflake. And also we used to load the data from the multiple sources like ADLS, S3 buckets to Snowflake tables as well. And also we recently developed one of the toolkit, so that is mainly for the validate the data between the source versus target, and you don't need to worry about that part. So that is mainly for the validating the data, mainly for schema, row count, null, and a few more validations. Okay, and that's not part of a Snowflake, but I'm just talking about the my experience into both the source versus targeted validations. Okay, and next one is so if I talk about the what is a Snowflake, so Snowflake is a completely cloud-based data warehousing platform, so that provides you the completely managed and scalable solution for storing and analyzing the large volumes of data. So that means everything will be on cloud only. It can be AWS, it can be GCP, or it can be Azure. It can support all three clouds, and it's a SaaS application. That means it's a software as a service application. Software as a service application, and it's I can say this is Snowflake is fast and flexible, so where we can able to perform the very fast analytics as well as the people kind of clients who used to work on the data driven organizations, right? So for those, Snowflake is one of the playing very crucial role. And when it compare with any other platforms, Snowflake has a very unique architecture. And so when we compare with any traditional data warehousing, right? So Snowflake having the lots of advantages. So if I talk about those key features, right? So first thing is like cloud native architecture. So that means where the Snowflake supports the uh, different clouds like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. So that means so we can able to store the data within existing one of your cloud, and it takes advantage of the where we can able to do the scalability of your data, and the cloud will automatically handle the data storage and then compute resources. But when it comes to the data warehousing part, the Snowflake will take care of it. And adding to this cloud native architecture, we have the storage and then compute as well. So one of the defining feature, right, when it comes to the Snowflake, so where we have the separation of the both storage as well as the compute. That means internally in Snowflake, where data is stored in a centralized storage layer. Okay, that we can call it as a Snowflake storage. And when it comes to the compute resources, that means where we are able to execute all your SQL queries, that will be internally running through the virtual machines. Virtual machines. That means internally we're going to call it as a virtual warehouses. So these are mainly used to perform the data processing as well as the all your analytical tasks. So that means, so in Snowflake, where we can able to segregate the both the storage as well as the compute resources. So, so here we decoupled these two to better resource utilization as well as the cost efficiency as well. And we have the concurrency as well. So this concurrency is mainly for the, it will supports the multiple users. So the naming itself defines that, right? Concurrency. So multiple users. So recently we implemented a multiple users implementation. So for example, if you take any one of the clients, so they have the n number of certain number of users list as well, and they want to create a certain number of data warehouses as well. So instead of go ahead and doing the manual work, so where we can automate the whole process as well. So that's by using the one of our internal toolkit. Okay, so that you don't need to bother about. So that will be completely taken care by the administrator. So here what I'm talking about, concurrency. So this concurrency is nothing but where it will supports the multiple users and multiple workloads as well simultaneously without any interruption. Okay, and that means where it's the Snowflake allows some multiple users to run their queries and work with the simultaneously without any performance issue. That means without any performance degradation. And next one is elastic scaling. So elastic scaling is nothing but, so whenever the Snowflake is or got the certain amount of data, now it has to scale up or scale down the resources based on the demand. So for example, today I got the 100 GB of data to processing. So one certain day, for like one as a kind of a big billion day or maybe prime sales day, so where we got a huge amount of data on that specific day, right? So the system has to be scaled up. Otherwise, your system got gonna be freezed. So we can't able to serve the request to the users. So in that case, we have an option to where we can automatically scales up its complete resources up and down based on the demand. So that means, so using this auto scaling feature, right? So ensures that so the system can able to pick the workloads efficiently as well as the cost efficiently as well, both in terms of the workload efficiently as well as the cost wise also it will do the better job. Okay, and next one is a data sharing. Data sharing is we have the one of the good option compared to any other existing data warehouse platforms. So Snowflake is enabling the easy and secure data sharing between the different organizations. So where we can create the reader account within a Snowflake. So you can create the one database and you can set the on top of where you can configure the certain amount of roles, and after that you can share the entire data with the specific consumers and using the secure data sharing mechanisms without any problems. So we can able to create one secure data sharing platforms. So that's one of the great advantages so for this Snowflake. And we have the time travel option. So this time travel is one of the great option compared to any other existing platform. So it's a capability of where it can able to users to access the historical data at a specific point of time, simplifying the data versioning and auditing. That means, for example, I want the certain period of data where I would like to get the 2022 January 1st to 2022 July 2nd something. So that's how we can able to get the historical data as well. And moreover, the entire Snowflake supports the SQL format only. That means, so we have the one certain standard ANSI SQL format. So we can use the same standard of SQL format, where it will supports the all asset properties like atomicity, consistency, isolation, as well as the durability as well. So what I mean to say here, so Snowflake, when we compared with existing RDBMS platforms, it will do the all kind of operations. And apart from that, we have the all of these extra advantages as well, like concurrency, elastic scaling, data sharing, as well as the time traveling. Okay, secure data sharing is nothing but, so within the data sharing only we have the secure data sharing, so where we can able to data share between the different accounts. So that's what we can do. And we have the zero cloning as well. So this zero cloning is one of the uh, uh, recently implemented in one of the project as well. So zero copy mainly for where we can able to replicate the entire database without moving the data. So that's one of the key feature within the Snowflake. And next one, so before going to the prerequisites, any doubts in terms of the Snowflake key features?
So what is that zero copying cloning you said?
Yeah, zero copy cloning is mainly, for example, we have the two different databases or two different environments where, for example, let me put it this way, we have the dev environment, UAT environment, as well as the production environment. So if you
Uh-huh.
want to create the two different systems data, right? Normally, how we used to do? Any idea?
And the copy the SQL loader mean data refresh we does load, extract,
Yes,
transfer, and load, right? Yeah. Mhm.
exactly. So in that case, where we're going to copy the entire data from the one environment to another environment. Am I correct?
Right. Yes,
That
dev to
means we
SAT.
are
Yeah, production refresh. We will copy the production data from lower environment dev and SAT. Yes.
exactly. So that means we have to copy the entire data as well as the
Ah,
entire schema. We have to copy it twice. Correct?
correct.
But
Correct.
when it comes to the Snowflake, right? So we don't need to bother about the creation of the entire schema. Data movement is also not required. So only one-time storage, that is sufficient. That
Okay.
means this yeah, that means zero copy cloning, right? It's mainly as a kind of a copy on write. So that means where you can create copies of your data or resources without actually duplicating the data until it's modified.
But sorry, I'm taking too much time. If
No
any
problem, no
healthcare
problem.
data, right? Healthcare data
Hmm,
production is sensitive. You cannot share
hmm,
to offshore like India. But at the same time, Dev and SIT, they does, they encrypt and put it. For example, social
correct.
security or any other thing. So in this situation, how do you do that?
Yeah, so this zero copy cloning is mainly applicable for the whenever you want to save the memory and improve the performance by avoiding the data copying. Let me put it this way: when it comes to the insurance clients or any business critical related, right? So we won't apply the zero copy cloning. Very simple and straightforward. Because the zero copy cloning, right, mainly for the to save the memory and as well as the improve the performance of the unnecessary data copying. For
Okay,
example, for your question, there is a data in dev environment for the e-commerce. There is a 100 GB of data. If I copy the 100 GB of data to the another environment, I have to pay extra 100 GB because I'm duplicating the data for UAT environment. That means
correct.
I have to pay extra 100 GB of data which I used in the AWS S3 or GCP
Mhm.
or any one of the cloud. But when it
Correct.
comes to the zero copy cloning, right, it will internally, the UAT environment internally redirects the storage process to the dev environment.
Oh, if I need to override or update anything on the UAT business rule, it won't override the main or the production or
Oh no, exactly.
okay,
So we have to, until unless without actually duplicating the data until it's modified. So we
okay.
have to, whenever you want to make the changes, right, zero copy cloning won't work. We have to
Oh,
make
okay.
sure
Yeah.
that
So
once
only
the
for
data
the
was
read.
fixed.
Got it. So for read,
Yeah,
you use a zero copy, but when you write,
exactly.
you may need to take a, got it.
Exactly. That means whenever the modification is attempted, so a new copy of data is be created for the process that wants to be modified simply.
Thank you,
So
Surya.
yeah, that means it's mainly for unchanged data. Let me put in this
Correct.
mainly for
Got it.
unchanged data.
Read the reference data, maybe.
Exactly. Read the reference existing data instead of creating the multiple copies. Because if you keep on creating the multiple copies, because it's not in the local system, right? So we're going to create it using the existing cloud. So that's going to cost you a lot.
Got it.
Mainly for it, as I mentioned, mainly for the performance wise, cost cutting wise, and where you want to avoid the multiple writes of the data. That's all.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Hi,
welcome. Any other doubts?
hi. This is Funny here.
Yeah, Funny, go ahead, please.
Yeah, how different is the time travel from the other databases?
Yeah, time travel rights, we have advantages in Snowflake when it comes to the any other platform, right? So this is Snowflake, right? So we have the two types of time travel. So we have the version as well as the as of. That means, so these two types, right? As of is nothing but, so where you can specify the point of time to query. For example, existed that moment, right? Let me put in this way. So where you can run the query, retrieve the state of the table, like 1 week of data or certain period amount of timestamp data in the past. I can able to get that. Whereas the version between, right? Version between means, so where it will allows you to query the range and retrieves the data when you wherever the dates you have mentioned, right? For example, 2022 January 1st to 2022 July 2nd I want. So the certain version between this data I can able to get it. So I think this option was not available within the any one of the RDBMS. And also, yeah, and within that Snowflake, right, we have the retention and time travel period. So that means where you can able to store the retention period, right? So where you can able to, where you can able to query the far back time data. And we have the a few more advantages as well, where you can increase the time travel dates as well. If it's a business critical, we have up to 90 days we can, and that's configurable. We can change that. So, and one more thing, adding to your question. So this time travel, right, mainly for the where you can able to perform some auditing related operations, some kind of reporting purpose, where you want to just check the previous data, how it was there, and mainly for these kind of operations, not more than that. Funny, funny. Any other questions? Okay, so let's get go to the prerequisites. So basic SQL is sufficient to interact with the whatever the data we stored in the Snowflake. That is pretty much sufficient because we're going to use the complete SQL only. So to retrieve the table and to perform all kind of operations, SQL is pretty much sufficient. 90% of the one, so we used to perform only SQL basis within the Snowflake. Until unless if the client got requirement, so where we supposed to be connect from the using Python connector, we have to perform something kind of operations. So recently we have developed one of the process using the Python connector. So that is mainly for the user enablement. Okay, that's not thing I don't want to confuse here. So mostly in in Snowflake, we're going to use SQL for querying the data. And if you have some basic extraction part, transformation part, and loading, so it's any ETL prior experience, that's pretty good. And even if you don't have, right, so we supposed to be understand the how we are pulling the data and how we are loading the data and how we can able to access the streaming data, how we are able to load the data to multiple clouds. And from the clouds, how you're going to load the data to the Snowflake, how you can configure it. So I'll explain that part very detailed way. You don't need to worry. and some basic Python programming is sufficient, because where we supposed to perform certain kind of operations within the uh, Python using the Snowflake. Within the Snowflake we have to perform. Okay, so same certain kind of operations PySpark we have in real time, right? So similar to that we have the Snowpark as well. Okay, that one. And apart from this one, so if we have some basic cloud experience in any one of the clouds, so that is more than sufficient. AWS, GCP, or Azure, this is sufficient. Okay, and so who can learn this entire Snowflake, right? So people who are having some data engineers background, because data engineers are the responsible for the data extraction, transformation, load, because the data engineers are mainly they're into ELT platform extraction, uh, loading, as well as the transforming the data to the different destinations. So if I talk about the data engineers role, that specifically we have the Hadoop, Spark data engineers, right? Where they used to take care of the data from the, or load the data from the different sources, like traditional RDBMS, some SFTP, FTP locations, and they use some Scoop or some other components where they used to load the data to the initially to the Hadoop platform. And from there, so they can able to perform the all kind of transformations using the Spark or using the Hive for the structured data. They can able to lot of things. So people who had some experience on the data engineering related activities, yes, definitely the Snowflake is a better choice. It's a kind of added advantage for the data engineers. And when it comes to the data analytics, right? So data analysts or data scientists, right, who need to be access and analyze the large data sets or to make the better decision purpose, right? So Snowflake will give the better visualizations as well within the query processing engine. So that's where we can able to perform easy operations. And as I mentioned, so reporting purpose, so visualization as well as the BI team. So who is to create the some dashboards or any other analytics tools are using the Snowflake. So this is any prior experience on Tableau or something. So this is a one, because within the Snowflake where we can able to configure the Tableau API connection as well as the Alteryx as well. We can able to do that. Okay, and people who don't have any prior IT experience also, yes, they can also learn. But for this one, so as I mentioned, we need some basic understanding about the SQL, how we used to create the table, DDL operations, DML, DCL, DQL, and in the within the Snowflake we have a lot of transformations as well. We need to understand those part. So before that, so we have to get some prior understanding about how this entire thing will work. So what I mean to say here, people who don't have prior experience, so please make sure that so we had some basic experience on the SQL. If you don't have, right, so please let Harsha Trainings, so that I'll take some few sessions on the only SQL, MySQL, for creation of the table, all kind of basic training on the SQL. That part I can provide extra. And here when it comes to the course content, right, so here is a training course content. So as a part of this training, right, so we'll be creating the Snowflake account. So it's a completely free of cost only. We don't need to pay any single rupee. And this is how I already created one of my Snowflake account. Let me show you that. So this is my Snowflake account. So yesterday only I created it. So this is how the Snowflake, this is a new interface. Okay. And we have, this is how the dashboard will looks like. Okay, we have all these different tabs here. You don't need to worry about this one. And this all our worksheets where we can able to perform the our queries, everything. And this is the dashboards, and this is the data, and everything are related to the data. See here we have the schemas, and inside that we'll be having the databases. Okay, databases schema, and then what are the views are existed here, it will show. Okay, similar to that, where we can able to create the database. Inside that we'll be having a schema, and inside that we'll be having the tables, views, functions, stored procedures, everything we can able to do that. Okay, but you don't worry about this one. I'll take care of everything this part. Okay, just want to show you the how the Snowflake will looks like.
But this is only for 30 days, Surya.
Yeah, 30 days. It's only for 30 days.
So again, we have to recreate.
Yeah, again, we have to create with a separate email ID.
I see. Is there
Yes.
any paid
And
one? We can do it for longer duration.
no, no. So we have, I mean, within that Snowflake, we have the multiple different account types like a business, a standard, as well as the critical. If you select any one of those are internal deals with different extra options like a time travel, fail safe or something. But when it comes to the overall trial, it was same, 30 days only.
Basic one. Okay.
Yeah, basic. Yes, and I'll talk about the next thing is the core concepts where we'll discuss about the how. So we had the schemas concept. It was not present in the any other existing databases. So it was there, but in Snowflake it was mandatory to understand how the Snowflake databases object was there. How this these are kind of main objects within the Snowflake, and internally how Snowflake was entire was designed, how it was processed, everything I will discuss. And we need to talk about the different roles in Snowflake. Okay, so if I show here within the Snowflake, if I come here, we'll be having the multiple roles here. See, this is the role. So account admin, organization admin, public, security admin, sysadmin, user admin. But in real time, so these roles can be changed. It can be 20 or 30. It depends upon the project to project. It's gonna change. Where we can able to create the read only, okay, only read and write operations. We can able to do that. So that's purely basis on the role-based access, RBAC, role-based access mechanism. So, and you don't need to worry about that. I'll explain the how this hierarchy will work, where was the user existed, how this role was there, and if groups were there. I'll discuss those part later. You don't need to worry about this one. So this is a very important role. So when it comes to the security and everything, right? So we need to take care of. Yes, and we'll be having the Snowflake pricing as well. So this all deals with the different versions of the Snowflake. So it will be having a standard version, business version, as well as a critical version, and we have the virtual private as well. So that's completely for the where they want to create some government related operations where they'll create their own Snowflake. So that's what we are not going to discuss. We'll talk about the only first three, like a standard, business edition, as well as a critical edition. And next thing is, so we'll discuss about the resource monitoring. So this is a resource monitoring is it will plays a very crucial role in terms of the cost maintenance. So using this resource monitoring, right, where you can able to create some resource monitor against the data warehouses. Okay, so once if your system got utilized 80% of your credits, then we can stop the entire cluster resources, or you can just give a notification to the user as well. There are a lot of options within the resource monitor. Okay, and this is completely through using the web UI only. So we're not going to use any CLI to do that. We can do that using the CLI as well, but that's going to make you more complex, because if it's within GUI where you can able to see the lot of options, how to create the resource monitor and everything. Okay, and we'll talk about the micro partitioning as well, because internally data whatever you're storing, so data will be internally partition if it's having the more amount of data. The advantage I'll talk. Okay, and even the clustering is also will do the very better job. Okay, how we are going to internally divide the data into multiple parts. This clustering of the data will discuss. And one more thing is, which is a very important one, query history and caching. So that means, so we have the one of the advantage within the Snowflake, right? So that's a query history. So this query history is mainly for the whenever you want to access the data. For example, today I performed the one of the query. It took almost 10 minutes to process the data. Okay, usually that's how the process will work. But whenever next time I've executed the query, I don't need to wait but again 10 minutes of time, because within this Snowflake, right? So if you by default it was enabled, okay, it will allows you to review the historical details. That means where you can able to, once you executed the query, right, it can store up to 24 hours. 24 hours. That means if I executed the query, next 24 hours, the history, the cache of the data will be stored within the cache. Next time, if I executed the query, the result will get directly comes from the cache memory. I don't need to execute the query until it was modified. Until it's modified. So that's a cache. I'll give the detailed explanation when it comes to the query history and the caching part as well. And we'll talk about the coding part. So related to the how can we create the databases, a schemas, a table, and where we can able to set some configurations, parameters within the worksheet. Okay, everything. So that worksheet is nothing but here itself only. So here worksheets. So where I can able to create the worksheets. So like a SQL worksheet or a Python worksheet. That's all. So here we can able to select the databases, schema, and then tables. Here you can able to perform the query here. Here you can able to select the database and a few configurations, whichever you want. And this is a role, a warehouse. And if you want to share these notes with someone else in the project, you can do that one also. Okay, these things we'll talk about later. So I'm just giving a heads up how we can able to perform this. Yeah, and one of the way to load the data to S3, or so not S3, load the data to the Snowflake from the AWS S3. And if possible, I can show you, we can able to load the data from the Azure as well and GCP as well. If possible, I can show all these three different clouds loading as well. So in the course content, I have mentioned only for S3 loading, but if possible, I can able to show you the loading the data from the GCP buckets as well as the Azure ADLS as well. Okay, simply we have to use the copy command, but we have to configure something within the AWS like IAM groups user we need to create. Okay, that's somewhat configuration is required. I'll discuss when it comes to the loading the data activity too within the Snowflake. And we'll discuss about the Snowpipe. So Snowpipe is one of the way to ingest the process, the loading the data from the any existing cloud, AWS, GCP, or Azure. So we can load the data to uh, Snowflake using the Snowpipe. And we have different types of tables as well. So we'll discuss those, and as well as the time travel option. So I just we had some basic discussion, right? So we'll have some pretty good discussion on the this time travel option as well, because it's a very important, and even the file safe as well. Okay, uh, and tasks are very important to scheduling the services. For example, I want to load the data every 5 minutes. So in that case, so I can implement the one task mainly for scheduling purpose. So as I mentioned, right, so within the stored procedures or streams, right, so where these tasks will create the better job compared to one. Yeah. And we have the streams as well. So this is a change data capture. Whenever the table data got changed, right? So we have the streams where I can able to create a stream on top of the table. That means, so if the table data got changed, that modified data will be stored into the stream. What are the stream you're creating? And from that stream, I can able to consume it. I can able to consume it. Okay, so that's what about the streams. So where we can able to handle the CDC. And zero copy cloning as well. So zero copy cloning, as I mentioned, where we can able to clone the entire database, pipes, streams, tasks, stages from the one database to another database or one environment, another environment also, we can do that. And secure data sharing. So as I mentioned, so where we can able to share the data from one uh, within one environment to another users, where they are not part of actual client, but still even though we can able to share the data by creating the reader accounts. And we can also mention the what all and all we can share. So those part also we can do that. And this materialized views, it's very simple. So materialized views means whenever the data got changed, right, this materialized views will be automatically executed, and this will get the data. I mean, it will populate the data. Okay. Secure views means where we can able to people who have the access, they can able to see these views mainly for when it comes to the materialized views. On top of that, we'll be having the secure views. Okay. And the most important one thing is it's not kind of a mini project. I'll take the complete end-to-end project, Hadoop to Snowflake migration project. So that means on premises how we are going to load the data from the existing Hive platform to Snowflake. Okay, for example, in your Hive a data warehouse where I'm maintaining hundreds of databases, and within that we'll be having the 10,000 plus odd tables as well. So how to implement that? So how to load the data? I'll give the complete end-to-end project as well. So first thing is we have to extract the schema for that, and we need to just deploy that schema faster. So for that, we're going to use the one of the tool called Flyway. Flyway is a database migration tool. Okay, and later we'll move the data to the respective cloud, and so where we can able to perform the all SQL transformations within the Snowflake. And we'll be having the partner connect as well. So that means where you can able to connect to the Snowflake is a SnowSQL. That means it's a CLI interface. Instead of performing the GUI interface, right, where you can able to perform it using the terminal basis as well. So that's by using the SnowSQL. So we have to configure certain things. So that's how. And apart from this one, so once we completed the this entire Snowflake training, right? So I'm gonna give the complete resume preparation as well if required. So this is all. So I'm gonna give the complete mock interview if you required. Okay, I'll prepare the resume for you, and I'll share the anyway. Harsha Trainings will take care of these recorded sessions, everything, and I'll share the soft copies of each and every component, and daily assignment will be there to each by each and every topic wise. And apart from this one, so one more thing, if possible, I'll show you the my real-time project as well. Okay, how we are loading the data, how we are creating it, how many tasks we have created, and all the things within the Snowflake, how we are creating the roles, users, everything kind of user management, user login management, okay, as well as the project handling and how we are handling the data loading activities in terms of the data, CDC data or stream data, everything will be, I can show you if possible. So I'm clearly mentioning if possible, I can show you that real-time project as well. So and one more thing, if people don't have the prior any SQL experience also, I can take a couple of sessions for the SQL as well. Any other doubts? Let me stop screen sharing so that if you have any doubts, we'll discuss.
So, sorry,
Yeah, go ahead,
one
Chandra. Yeah, go ahead,
question
Chandra.
is the certification, right? So you help on
Yeah,
certification too.
sorry, it's my bad. I forgot to explain that separately. Thanks for letting me know. Let me, yeah, actually we covered this one. So when it comes to certification part, right? So yeah, let me open this URL. See, when it comes to the certification part, right? So must and should, if you have the at least 4 to 5 months of complete hands-on on this Snowflake, we can definitely crack the Snow Pro core certification. And we have the different Snowflake certifications as well. I can show you that. So this is a basic one, Snow Pro core certification. And once you completed this one, then you can able to take the advanced certifications like architect level exam, also uh, data engineer, advanced data scientist, everything. See, These all certifications. But right now I can support only for Snow Pro core certification. Even I'm planning for the Snow Pro Advanced Architect, or I'm planning for this one, Snow Pro Data Engineer. So this I'm going to take in next 4 to 5 months. But so far, this is the one I'm gonna support for you. So in terms of certification point of view, where I can share the my previous certification dumps with you, the previous questions. In Udemy also, we can able to follow the certain mock test as well. But you don't need to bother about that one. I'm preparing for the mock test kind of format as well, where I'm going to give the hundreds of questions, so multiple choice would be there. That part also I'm planning to do that. So by end of our course, right, I'm going to share the that part as well. I can say this entire if we go with the Snow Pro, right, see, everything will be deals with the this thing only: data loading activities, virtual machine performance, DDL and DML, semi-structured and unstructured data, cloning and time travel, data sharing, and account structure and management. Everything I'm going to cover. You don't need to worry about the course content, okay, in terms of the Snow Pro course certification. Everything I'll take care of it. And
Okay.
dumps I can provide. And when it comes to the support also, I can do that, okay, if required.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, thanks for letting me know, Shabri.
Yeah.
I forgot to
Sure, sir.
explain the
Yeah.
application part.
Thank you. So the syllabus, whatever you are covering, we should be good to write a Snow Pro core certification. That's what you're saying, right?
Abs- Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But daily assignments has to be completed on without any delays, so that you can get
Yeah,
the
that's
complete
of course.
understanding
We
about
have
the
to put
Snowflake.
our effort.
Yes.
If you put a
Yeah.
90% effort, you put whatever the effort you are doing. Yeah, I agree.
Correct. Shabri.
Without
Yes.
our effort, we cannot crack the certification. I know.
Yes. And moreover, right, so certification is a very easy exam. Okay. And I mean, in terms of the exam, it's easy, but where we need to follow the certain ways to crack the exam. First thing is, we have to be very careful in terms of the documentation. So better always follow the Snowflake official documentation. It's a very
Okay.
pretty good documentation. We don't need to follow the any other documentation,
Okay.
because even in our organization also recently we completed 200 plus certifications, Shabari.
I see.
Yeah, we are more into Snowflake only. Snowflake
Oh,
migrating the data from the Microsoft SQL Server to uh, Snowflake. And moreover, I forgot to mention, I'll share the real-time issues with the while migrating the data.
yeah, that's where that's really helps. Yeah. Thank you.
Huh. Yes, because in terms of the while loading the right, for example, if I take date timestamp, SQL Server, we don't have the date time and date time too we have. But when it comes to the Snowflake, we don't have different date formats. Okay, the Snowflake will supports the only timestamp. So how can we convert this one, and what are the different ways to do that? And not only the timestamp, we have lots of issues with the existing on-premises to loading the data to Snowflake. I'm going to cover everything. If possible, I'll share the one document as well to everyone. But that's a highly confidential one. So please don't circulate the document with anyone
Yeah.
else. So any questions? And one more thing, so as I mentioned, people who don't have the prior experience on the any IT background or something, or any SQL background something, please let Harsha training so that they can let me know that people who don't have a prior experience on SQL, so that I can able to take the first few sessions on the SQL. So I mentioned very clearly, I'll take 4 to 5 sessions on the SQL.
Is
Any
it?
doubts for you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
go
one
ahead.
more thing is the documentation. Is it a free download, right? The Snowflake one.
Yeah, Snowflake directly we can access it from the official portal. It's completely free of cost only.
Oh, this is the one, right? Whatever you are sharing. Is that the portal?
Uh, 1 second. I'm in different screen. So if you go with the Snowflake documentation, the UI was completely changed. Earlier it was different. Just a few months back, they changed everything. So this is how we can able to access everything in terms of they getting started with a Snowflake, working with a Snowflake, getting data into Snowflake, where they have segregated the each and every topic wise. Now, for example, I want to see the how to work with the data warehouses. If I go here, then I can able to get the see here how to create the data warehouse. This is a SQL statement. Everything was mentioned here. So make sure that so where they used to mention the note part here, every page whenever it's required they used to mention note. This part is very important, and they're going to ask you in terms of certification point of view, they're going to ask you definitely from the notes point only.
Not okay. It's not a PDF to download, or it's on cloud.
Oh no, it's completely on website only. It's not a PDF.
Okay.
If it's a PDF, right, it's very difficult to navigate. But if it's
Navigate.
official, right? So yeah, where they have I mean, where they have modified the this entire document, it's now it's pretty easy to understand. See where I want to see the data types. See, I can able to go ahead and see. Yeah, and data loading, data unloading activities, everything is uh,
Yes.
free now. It's very easy to navigate as well. Even I do have the documentation, but even I got it from the this official documentation itself only. But
Oh,
I'm saying right, so I'm not going to give any personal documentation because the official documentation. Why should we skip that?
more
So better we
sufficient.
follow
Yeah.
the. Yeah,
Correct.
this is more than sufficient.
Mm.
I don't want to give any personal documentation to deviate something. I'm going to the complete official documentation only. Where whenever we comes to this specific topic, right, we'll go to that Snowflake official documentation. I'll explain each and everything what we're supposed to be do. The whichever required part, I'll definitely explain to that because I don't want to deviate the people from the official document. Because if you follow official documentation, then you will habituate it. If you got any doubt in the future, you don't need to call me or you don't need to just ping me something. You can directly go to the official documentation. Everything will be mentioned over there itself only. Yes. Any other doubts? Nataraj, Monica, Nagesh, Shravani, Shiva, Sandeep, Arun, and Bonu.
Yes. What is the use of this Python?
Yeah, Python, let me put it in one simple way, Nagesh. So we have to use this Python mainly for the client requirements, mainly for client requirements. For example, where I want to onboard the users, for example, if Nagesh was joined HSBC client. So similar to that, 100 people are joined at the same time, where I can't go ahead and do the manual process of each and every user to do that. Okay, so using the Python connector, right, where I can able to automate the whole process. Only thing is we have to provide the list of the users and where I can able to segregate these users by using the groups and the templates folder. I can able to do that. And if I once run this Python, right, it will internally connect to the Snowflake account and based on the segregation, okay, the users will be created with roles. For example, location Stravenus belongs to dev environment, one pub source, where they have to get only read-only access. And for rest of the users, they have to get the read and write operations both. See, these kind of segregations, these kind of certain different operations, right? I can't go ahead and do the manual process. But using the Python connector, we have to follow some different process as well for this one, Nagesh. So I can say using the Python where we can automate the whole set of process as well.
Okay. One more.
Yeah,
When we
mainly
will
for
use
yeah, yeah.
when we will
Sorry.
use Snowsite and CLI method.
Yeah, good question. If it's a insurance client, right, where the data was very crucial, okay, in that case, we used to go with only Snowflake CLI, the SnowSQL.
Okay.
Okay, and moreover, even though if the client data was very crucial, sometimes where we used to get the access as well to just verify the certain things, how your query was performed, okay, and where you can able to track the dry run of the query. Dry run means you don't need to execute the query. So once you executed the query also, there you can able to get the complete the process life cycle of the that query also you can able to see that. Okay, I can say GUI is not a mandatory thing, but Snowflake SQL that entire CLF is mainly for the to delta with any insurance clients or credit card payment gateway related clients where they don't want to create they don't want to create give the higher authorization to perform certain things. In that case, we used to go with only Snowflake SQL. That means the CLI interface, not with the GUI.
It's not depends on the size, right? It's not depends on the
Yeah, no,
size.
no, it's not at all dependent on the size.
Yeah. What about job opportunities regarding this course and where we can get jobs?
Yeah, in terms of the job opportunities, that I can say Snowflake is a widely used one because in terms of the data processing wise, the data storage wise, so Snowflake is doing the better job as I mentioned, right? So this is mainly for the handling the large volumes of data, and it's a pretty fast and also flexible as well. So that's now clients are ready to migrate the on-premises Hadoop or Spark or on-premises existing traditional RDBMS data to Snowflake to the cloud. I mean, it's the cloud only, but data will be stored in the cloud. But obviously, we have to perform these things using the Snowflake Web UI or CLI only. What I mean to see here, everything was streamlined within the Snowflake, and it's a pretty easy, straightforward, as well as a cost efficient as well. And it has a unique architecture so that so clients are now ready to migrate the data. And if you want, right, Nagesh, you can go ahead and check in the Naukri Snowflake data engineers. We'll be having a lots of options. I can say next coming 5 to 10 years, right? So the Snowflake will rule the market, no doubt at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi Surya, this is Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva, go ahead, Shiva.
I'm not having any experience in database.
Okay.
Not even know schemas or tables creation, accessing data.
Okay. What's your
Means
background, Shiva? Just want to know
I'm a
if you don't mind.
middleware.
Middleware, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I can help you on that, Shiva. I can help you on that. You don't need to worry. Just inform the same thing to Harsha Trainings. Once they let me know, I can start the basics of the first SQL. Then we'll start the Snowflake.
okay. After completing of this basic concept, am I eligible for means understanding the things is different and implementing the
Yes,
things
yes.
is completely
Without any doubt. No doubt at all, Shiva. No doubt at all. Okay,
different.
I'll take care of the complete trainings end to end. Okay, only thing
Oh,
is, so you have to follow the daily assignments. See, sometimes I used to give on daily basis, sometimes where we used to follow the, say for example, there is a topic would be the data warehouses where I can give the 40 to 50% of the training. I can't give the complete 100% within 1 or 2 days, right? So the remaining 50% you have to do it from your end, and you have to come up with the doubts. If you're asking the
sure.
doubts means you are learning. If you're not asking the
Okay.
doubts means you're simply listening.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that understand the topic, create and follow the official documentation and understand the concepts. Just do the practice. Remaining things I'll take care of it. See,
Okay.
I can put my effort 100% Shiva. So at least 20 to 30% if you put more efforts, right, it easy
Sure.
for you
Sure.
to clear away. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks team. So if you don't have any doubts, so we can wrap up the session and Harsha Trainings will let you know the next steps.
Yeah, thank you, Surya. I like the
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.